mean, I don't know. We were talking about psychological stuff. So some people do just want to grind it out.
I was going to say, this takes us full circle to that. It's like their identity is gone. It's like, oh my God, I'm in a business role with free time. Like, what do I do?
Welcome to the Law Firm Owner Podcast, powered by Velocity Work. This is the work that creates velocity. Welcome, everyone, to the Law Firm Owner Podcast. Today, I have a special guest who I'm especially excited to talk to for a bunch of reasons that will get uncovered. Michael Gennaro, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you for having me.
When someone is going to reach out to you guys, they do want to find a buyer and they want to find the match. You guys will help with the deal. What other professionals will they need that is outside of what you will provide?
That is an exceptional question, and I'm glad you asked. And I think case in point was the transaction we were describing, and how that went south. Buyers and sellers will need advisors, and just from the get-go, like if you're looking to buy or sell a law firm and you're not willing to spend money on you're looking to be very cost shy on advisors, I advise you to stay away from it right up front.
Yeah,
you should think, I need $25,000 from my advisors. And I'm talking about the lawyers, the deal consultants, etc. If you're not willing to spend that kind of money, you can have a really poor transaction and risk losing lots of money by doing a deal. And so I'll tell you the advisors that are needed. So at the Law Practice Exchange, I'm a former practicing attorney. Tom's the former practicing attorney, also an accountant, but we don't practice law and we don't act as fiduciaries. But what we do is a lot of heavy lifting. Deal dynamics, deal structuring, reviewing letters of intent, reviewing asset purchase agreements or stock purchase agreements. We do a lot of the deal mechanical work. Ultimately, both buyer and seller will need an M&A attorney in the jurisdiction in which the transaction is going to happen. They will need an ethics attorney. Because there are ethics rules surrounding sale of practice. Rules 117, ABA's Rule 117, and Rules 5.4 govern the sale of a law firm practice. There are a lot of duties that get involved in there. There will be due diligence. And due diligence means that you will be reviewing client materials. So what the rules are surrounding that are very important, that you're complying with your bar's ethical rules. Those would be the two attorneys, I would say. And the last would be a fiduciary, making sure you have a CPA or some other type of fiduciary that's signing off on a deal as in your best financial interests. And that will also walk you through tax implications of a deal. If you structure a deal as an asset purchase versus a stock purchase, that has a whole array of different tax implications that you're and with your unique financial situation, you need to know what is an optimal structure. If you're a seller, do you really want a lot of cash at close?
Right.
What is your tax bill going to look like in that year? I don't know. I'm not in your personal financial materials seller, right? So like you need to talk with a tax advisor that can advise you, like, what is an optimal structure? If you can get the payments in a most tax optimized way, what should we ask for if we're representing you, for instance? But those are really the advisors that you want to have in addition to a deal advisor, are M&A counsel, legal ethics counsel, and some sort of fiduciary.
And I would imagine, let's say you find an M&A attorney and they probably can point you to some other professionals that are going to be needed within the deal that you could have consults with. Is that correct? I mean, I think this could seem overwhelming to people to vet and find the right fits for them and a team that they really trust. So I don't know. Tell me where I'm wrong. And also I'm cognizant that there may be some conflict of interest here that you need to be thoughtful about. Do you recommend professionals, or no, that's not something you can do?
So we work with trusted partners. We have a page of trusted partners. Those partners are everything from recruitment professionals that are willing to work with the smaller law firms, not just get the giant fees that the AmLaw 200 firms pay for the giant salaries they pay their associates. It's a deal financing. So have you SBA pre-qualified for purchase of the firm? Have you SBA qualified your sale? Like, will SBA lender grant the loan under certain terms to any buyer of the firm? We have referrals to lawyers. Yes, there's ways you can find corporate lawyers through our trusted partners, operations consultants. Pretty much anything that we don't do, we have links to individuals that can help with that. And I think it would be great. Yeah. I mean, we're building out our network now. I mean, one of the things that our clients come to us asking for is guidance on MSO structuring, LSO structuring of deals, because it's the way in terms of non-lawyers and lawyers of foreign jurisdictions acquiring law firms. So that's one of the big asks that we've had recently in terms of legal services.
Okay. Now that's great. That's good. You do have trusted partners, and I would imagine that Law Practice Exchange, once a foot is put forward with you guys, that you will point them in the directions of how they need to line up, get their ducks in a row, so to speak, to move forward. That you'll be as a part of the, structuring the deal and advising where you can. That's part of the role, is that you will point them and make sure, like, check these boxes. Some of these we can do, some of these we can't do. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes. We set clear boundaries on what we are capable of doing and not capable of doing. And I will make those recommendations for the same sets of advisors all day and every day. Don't want good deals to go south for not having the right advisors in place. And there are deals that should go south, and they deserve to die because they're bad deals. And we act as intermediary for most of our deals. We are only representing a very select handful of clients on full representation. So we do about 10 to 12 full sell side representations at any one time, just because of the bandwidth we have. I told you our advisory team's myself, Tom Linfeste, and Brenda. And so we're working all of those deals. That's our current deal team. It will expand. But other than that, our participants in our marketplace, we are not representing any of those. We only will do representations on an a la carte basis, meaning we will counsel you on your letter of intent and whether you should be renegotiating your deal, or we will renegotiate your deal for you. We will take segments of the transaction. That way we are freed up to act as intermediaries for the most part of the time, trying to bring together good deals for both parties and making sure that really bad deals don't happen, because that would be horrible for both our buyers and sellers if a deal falls apart.
So let me see if I understand correctly. The Law Practice, or the exchange, is really, am I understanding correctly? It's really for smaller firms, and then you can provide pieces of the puzzle to them, almost a la carte. It sounds like bigger firms will come to you and hire you for full boat of services. Is that correct?
That's exactly right, Melissa. So we set up the marketplace, which is the name of our exchange, specifically with a firm of 2 million in revenue and under in mind, as a value-oriented, cost-effective means of transacting. We've set it up that way for a variety of reasons. So first of all, when you deal with a conventional business broker, they may ask you for, let's say, we need $25,000 to get started for you, marketing the firm, doing all the stuff we need to do to prepare it to market, et cetera. And then that arrangement will be exclusive. So, wherever your buyer happens to come from, we're still getting paid our fee. And then they'll get 10 to 13% perhaps of total deal value for the deal that happens. And it is full representation. And that might be suitable for certain candidates. We just don't find it very helpful for many candidates. And simply because that's a traditional representation from other service industry spaces, and many of which where deals will be all cash at close, and buyer and seller won't have much to do with each other afterwards. We find more of a collaborative arrangement seems to work a lot better with law firms. And so hence the exchange. You enter the exchange, you're not in an exclusive arrangement. So you enter, and your fee is the greater of $5,000 or 1.5% of the seller's revenue. You know your fee going right into it. So if you're $1 million revenue law firm, your fee is going to be $15,000 at the end of the day for your sale.
Okay.
So it's a very transparent fee. We're not so we're there trying to get deal. We will help on an a la carte basis too, so that instead of paying this large sum of money to get your deal done, when you don't need us to do all the things. So where we've taken ourselves out of, we're not chaperones to your dating anymore. We want you to date more, have more conversations. Don't let my calendar dictate when you speak to a prospective buyer. By all means, speak to buyers there. And also, which may seem against our interest, also have conversations outside of our exchange, have conversations at cocktail parties, bar association meetings, etc. We will still help that individual or that law firm owner get their deal done, whether we get a success fee from the exchange or not. And it's simply because we're an advisory first entity, which means we make a substantial amount of our fees through advising on deals, both deals that happen through the exchange and deals outside of the exchange. We work for, I've been approached by law firm buyers that had nothing to do with the law practice exchange, that had their deal presented to them from another broker somewhere else, and they just pay us service fees to help consult on their deals. And so this way,
that's smaller firms too. That can be the case with a smaller firm.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Okay. People that come to you, let's say they skip the marketplace, they're above a $2 million firm, which is that a rule or that's just a guide? People can post there and be a part of the marketplace if they are higher than 2 million in revenue.
They can. So there's no restriction on entering the marketplace by revenue size. It's just what we find is that sellers, as they become larger players, they generally want even more discretion and selectivity. So they want a chaperone. In other words, they want that chaperone to the date.
Yes.
They want us to be curating and vetting the date before the date actually happens, right? They don't,
that makes sense.
We want to be bought by private equity, but, we want to make sure it's private equity that's done these types of deals before, or, we only want we want you to vet, like if it's another large, if I'm a personal injury law firm and you have other personal injury law firm buyers, I want you to run them by me one by one before presenting me, because there's sharp elbows in the market. So it's a degree of discretion and involvement, and they typically, the larger the firm is, the more they want our involvement on an ongoing basis in the deal at all times.
Okay. Yep. Which makes sense. If you have thoughts or anything you can offer with, often when you're hearing of buying and selling businesses, there is a multiple that's talked about that a lot of people hate talking about that are actually in the world. So I imagine that's you as well, because it just varies so widely and you can't really give a straight answer. But part of that, I think, for education purposes, for people listening, if maybe you could explain the multiple. And I know a lot of times it's based off of EBITDA, but is that true also for a law firm, or is it a real number for a law firm or most firms, or is it actually, I don't know, EBIT? I don't know what to. I think people listening should hear about this and about these terms and about how to think about these things.
Yeah, great points. And yes, the answer is yes, and yes. So yes, we do. A lot of valuation is keyed off of EBITDA figure, or given this somewhat more simplistic transactions, the $2 million and below transactions, what we call true net. And the way we get at a true net or an adjusted net is by, we typically owners run a ton of things through their law firm for tax purposes, right? It makes their margins look a lot smaller than what they actually are. So we handle a lot of owner perks, costs that effectively a new owner will not be facing when they take over the business, right? And that adjusts the margin appropriately. Two, we check to make sure that lawyers are actually taking a salary for the legal work that they do. And a lot of them do not. We just draw. Well, that's not your net then. What's left over is not your net. It's the net benefit to owner. And that's not what value is calculated on, net benefit to owner. It's calculated on true net. So what we also do is we look for a market-based salary for any legal work that the owner is still doing. And many owners are still doing legal work. They haven't gotten to the stage where they've put themselves in the pure owner seat yet. And we adjust that, which will then shrink that margin. But once we get there, we generally can look at evaluation multiples off of that figure. I guess what is it? Well, there's textbooks out there that say the number is 3.5 times earnings, which is actually preposterous because I mentioned before that the guy dancing on the truck who does the PI stuff, that law firm, the revenue model is just completely different than the corporate law firm we talked about before, or even the criminal law firm that we talked about before. And so the multiples can vary pretty substantially. I think, like, for instance, and I'll give you the difference. So like in the personal injury law firm space, right now we're seeing multiples anywhere between like 2.5 and 4 times earnings. And I expect those multiples will get driven up because private equity is quite interested in and actively acquiring in the personal injury law firm space right now. And so I think the expectation is those multiples will get driven up as sales to private capital becomes more normalized. In most other non-contingency type spaces, you're seeing multiples more of like in the 1 to sort of 3 range, which can probably disappoint a bunch of your listeners.
Totally.
But yeah, you're not in the laundromat business, right? You're not in the HVAC business. This is, it's hard to transfer the value of your law firm to a new owner. The easier you make it for a new owner to take over your practice and you de-risk that transfer of goodwill, the more valuable you will make the law firm, which is, I guess, where you come in, Melissa. Like, you are making law firms more valuable because it will de-risk the sale for a purchaser.
I mean, and the crazy thing is, and I think about a year ago, I talked about this on the podcast. It is about creating more value in the firm as an asset, but also that very thing gives you more freedom. So everybody wins. The value of the asset goes up, so you give yourself the opportunity to have a better exit, whatever that looks like, But also in the meantime, you aren't grinding it out until you decide to make those steps into exit. So it just seems like it's hard work. It's hard work to get yourself out of the center of everything, but it's work worth doing because, who wants to just, I don't know. We were talking about psychological stuff. So some people do just want to grind it out.
I was going to say, this takes us full circle to that. It's like their identity is gone. It's like, oh my God, I'm in a business role with free time. Like, what do I do? I'm not practicing this super sexy area of law anymore. Yeah, you're right.
So funny. Okay, so 1 to 3 for firms that, basically are not PI and getting bought by private equity.
Well, I mean, we have done law firm valuations for over the last 14 years of our existence, and we've valued over 400 of them in that time. Where we come out generally in terms of revenue, we come out anywhere between 0.45 and 0.95 annual revenue. And where we generally come out, I'm talking about just averages here, is anywhere between 1 and 3.5 times earnings. We have done a significant amount of work in the personal injury law firm space in the last few years, and multiples are, well-run personal injury law firms can easily command multiples of 3, 5 to 4 if they're doing everything right. If they have the right
Mm-hmm.
margins, the right software, the right case management software. There's KPIs, SOPs, all of the ability to measure performance of the firm, ability to press a button and see what the financial, finances of the law firm are at any given time. Those have a lot of value and a lot of value for a new owner. So,
Will you speak to just to give a sentence or two on why, like for instance, when you say push a button and be able to see the finances at any moment that you'd like to look, and you get a full snapshot in a way that matters. Why is that important?
so first of all, when you're thinking about getting your business ready for sale and commanding value, you have to put yourself in the shoes of the new owner. It's like, do they come in and are they wading through paper documents, or do they come in and are they able to press the button and to see where things stand? And a lot of that comes out in our due diligence process with clients. We have folks that want to sell, and we tell them, get ready, buckle up, because when the PE guys come in and take a look at you, everything's going to be sliced and diced. And so front loading that and getting all of those responsibilities taken care of prior to actually trying to effect a sale will not only make your life a lot more pleasant in the sales process, but also make your law firm more valuable, because you can substantiate everything that you're saying about the firm rather than making someone wade through paper documents to get there. And so it also shows that you have a finger on the pulse of your firm, you know what's going on, and everything can be substantiated by numbers. And ultimately that an investor buyer is looking for that, everything
Yeah.
being substantiated by numbers.
You mentioned 1 to 3, maybe 1 to 3.5. Is there something about the 3 and a 3.5? Like, how rare is that? And is the reason for whatever rarity you'd put on that to get there, is it is it luck, or it wasn't luck? It's that they were pretty committed to getting all the things that you've mentioned, for example, right. SOPs, KPIs, the firm is run as a business. And there's other things, but is it a pipe dream for people to think, okay, I'm gonna get 3. I am going to get 3. I'm gonna do all the work it takes to get 3. Is that the wrong way to do this? Or is that a smart way to think about it?
No, that's the exact right way to think about this, and
Okay.
there's no dumb luck involved here.
Right.
Maybe
Okay.
it's dumb luck that you decide that you want to start a personal injury law firm, and that happens to be a very lucrative practice versus something else. But when you get to beyond, for two firms that are in the same practice area, right, can look very different with valuation markers. And I
Mm-hmm.
can tell you, the one with effective processes, systems, and procedures in place, any day of the week is going to command more value than the one without them. And so part of this is owner mindset. Does owner see themselves as lawyer first and business is just that it happens to be a business, or do they see themselves as business owner first? And lawyering is one of the things they do as a business owner of the firm. That's one of their functions. And so it is a very different mindset. And I can tell you that there's a lot of lawyers that don't see themselves as business professionals. They see themselves as lawyers, or what they think of traditionally as a lawyer.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah. I mean, I feel lucky. The people that usually we end up working with, they're already on a good track of they've flipped out of just being a lawyer. Maybe we're their first step in doing that, but most of the time they've been thinking in those ways, trying to chip away at things, and then we get to come in and help and hopefully speed that up for them just to start to get things organized and situated. Is there a time that, or an example that you could think of where on paper they were doing everything right, but there was something about the firm that knocked it down in terms of the multiple or the value that they're going to
Yeah.
get?
So, I mean, basically, you still need to keep, you could have these KPIs and SOPs in place, but you still need to be doing all of the conventional things to run a law firm. You still need to be doing those well as well. And
Yeah.
when it's not like, oh, because I have these KPIs and SOPs and all these things, I can stop doing this other thing that's very important to a specific law firm to do, you need to keep doing that. Like, no, you need to keep ad spending in order to get, these clients in the door. You need to maintain that. You need to be doing these. You need to stay on top of that. You need to be looking at that and what the results are, right? Just because there's processes and systems in place doesn't mean that frees you up not to do those things that you were doing before. It's something that's added on top of that, I would say. So
yeah, that's super interesting. We do have people that come to us that they just naturally get more business than it just keeps coming. So they aren't spending on advertising at all. And it is interesting to think, because they're handling the growth. They are needing to adjust to the growth. There's things internally they have to do. Their processes need to be down. They're being very responsible and being a good steward of the business, which means taking good care of the clients and throttling if they need to the people who are coming, the new clients. But at some point, if they are interested, it sounds like, so tell me where I'm wrong. If they are interested in selling their firm, they are going to need to focus on marketing, because it's going to be an important, maybe there's some organic stuff happening that's enough for them. But if they want to sell, there probably would be a good idea to actually focus on marketing and not just let it all roll in as it does. Is that true? Or if they have enough history of organic growth, then they don't need to focus on marketing?
I would say they do need to focus on marketing. So we work with very, very profitable law firms that are more profitable than those that actually advertise. And the problem is that the means by which they get their clients is sometimes, let's say, concentrated referral sources, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big red flag for buyers when they come in and they're like, wow, you don't do any advertising or marketing, and that keeps your costs really low. That's great. But and you have all these great clients, but you've gotten them through these 5 referral sources. And what happens when you leave? What happens to those referral sources, right?
Yeah.
What goes?
Yeah.
How tell me, I know things are really good. You're riding this gravy train right now of awesomeness. But what happens when you leave, right? Why haven't you done SEO? Why haven't you done PC? Why haven't you done these other things? And a lot of the answer is bandwidth. I haven't had enough staff. I haven't had enough attorneys to do all the work we have. And I think that's one of the biggest common denominators I get faced with clients right now, is they're like, hey, things are really good. I have so much business. I just have never been able to be effective at making hires. And it's a shame that there aren't more effective talent solutions out there for these firms, because they could be even more profitable and be doing a lot more revenue than what they currently are, but for the fact of not having the ability to deploy talent to the new clients.
I just appreciate you so much for being here today. I'd love to have you back on if you're willing. I have more questions in my head I was going to ask until I realized what time it was.
I'd love to come back. I really enjoyed being here, and I really appreciate you having me on the show. I enjoyed all the questions. We live for this stuff at Law Practice Exchange, and it sounds like, what you're doing for your clients has, immeasurable impact, because you are what's going to get them ready to be sold later on at values that will be attractive for the sellers and take care of their financial future and that of their families. So.
Yeah. Well, that's my goal. And I think I'd love to develop the relationship further and set our people up as best as we can and, push them your way so that you can help.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you for your time. And everyone listening, we'll have him back, because I have lots more questions.
Excellent. Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate you.
Before you go, be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you'd like to hear more on this topic, let us know in the comments below. Thank you for listening to the Law Firm Owner Podcast. If you're ready to get clearer on your vision, data, and mindset, then head over to velocitywork.com, where you can plug in to quarterly strategic planning with accountability and coaching in between. This is the work that creates velocity.